imagine a world where this doesn't exist. No smartphones, no computers, no internet, no space travel, no modern banking, all because of this simple symbol, zero. What if I told you that for thousands of years, humanity survived without zero? And when it was finally invented, it changed absolutely everything. Today, we're exploring the most revolutionary number in human history and what our world would look like if it never existed. Zero seems so simple, right? It's just nothing. But that nothing took humanity over 5,000 years to figure out. And without it, the modern world as we know it simply couldn't exist. Before we dive deep into this mathematical mystery, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're about to blow your mind with some serious history and science. The ancient world without zero. Let's travel back in time, way back, to ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans. These were incredibly advanced societies. They built pyramids, created democracy, engineered aqueducts, and developed complex mathematical systems. But they all shared one common problem. They didn't have zero. Now, you might be thinking, so what? How hard could math be without zero? Well, let me show you. Try doing this simple calculation in Roman numerals. 1/99 plus 476. That's MCMXCIX plus CDLXXV1. Good luck with that. The answer is MMCDXXV, or 2475. See how complicated that gets? Without zero as a placeholder, ancient number systems became impossibly clunky for large calculations. The Romans were brilliant engineers, but their number system held them back mathematically. But here's what's really wild. Ancient civilizations understood the concept of nothing. They knew when their grain stores were empty. They understood the absence of things, but representing nothing as an actual number, that was a revolutionary leap in human thinking that took millennia to achieve. The birth of zero. So who finally cracked the code? The answer takes us to ancient India, around the 5th century CE. Indian mathematicians and astronomers were the first to treat zero not just as a placeholder, but as an actual number with its own value. Mathematicians like Brahmagupta wrote rules for using zero in calculations. You could add it, subtract it, and multiply by it. The concept was then transmitted to the Islamic world. The brilliant mathematicians like Al-Khwarizmi expanded on these ideas. And eventually, around the 12th century, zero made its way to Europe through trade and translation. But even then, zero was controversial. Some European mathematicians thought it was dangerous or even heretical. A number that represented nothing? That went against their entire understanding of reality. It took centuries for zero to be fully accepted in the Western world. But once it was, everything changed. What would be impossible without zero? Alright, now let's get to the really mind-blowing part. What exactly would be impossible without zero? No advanced mathematics. First, pretty much all of modern mathematics collapses without zero. Calculus, gone. Calculus requires the concept of approaching zero and infinitesimally small numbers. Without zero, Newton and Leibniz couldn't have developed calculus, which means no physics as we know it. As algebra, severely limited. So many equations rely on zero as a solution or as part of calculations. Negative numbers, they don't really make sense without zero as the dividing line between positive and negative. No computers or digital technology. But here's where it gets really crazy. Without zero, we wouldn't have computers. Every single piece of digital technology you use, your phone, your laptop, the internet, video games, AI, everything runs on binary code, and binary code is just ones and zeros. Computers literally speak in the language of something and nothing, 1 and 0. Without zero, there is no binary system. No binary system means no digital revolution. No digital revolution means you're not watching this video right now. No smartphones, no social media, no streaming services, no GPS, no online shopping. The entire digital age never happens. No modern science and engineering. Space exploration? Forget about it. The calculations required to launch a rocket, navigate through space, and land on the moon involve incredibly precise mathematics, all of which requires zero. Medical technology, climate modeling, quantum physics, chemistry, all of these fields use complex calculations that would be nearly impossible without zero. Even measuring temperature wouldn't work the same way. We have 0 degrees as reference points in Celsius and Fahrenheit. How do you measure cold without a zero baseline? No modern economy. And let's talk about money. The global financial system would be completely different, or possibly wouldn't exist at all. Banking relies on the concept of zero balance. Credit and debt systems work because we can represent zero and negative numbers. Digital transactions, decimal points, interest calculations all require zero. Even simple accounting gets incredibly messy. How do you balance books without being able to write down zero? How society would be different. So if zero was never invented, what would society actually look like today? Well, we'd probably be living in a world that's technologically similar to the Renaissance, or maybe the early Industrial Revolution at best. We might have mechanical innovations, water mills, printing presses, basic engineering, but anything requiring precise mathematical calculations or measurement would be severely limited. Science would progress incredibly slowly. Every calculation would be cumbersome and error-prone. Collaboration between scientists would be harder because there's no standardized, efficient mathematical language. The population would be much smaller, probably a few 100 million people globally instead of 8 billion, because without modern agriculture, medicine, and technology, we simply couldn't support more. Communication would be completely different. No phones, no internet means information travels at the speed of a horse or a ship. The concept of being globally connected doesn't exist. Basically, we'd be living in a world that's recognizable to someone from the 1700s or 1800s, not the 21st century. So here's the absolutely wild thing about zero. It's simultaneously nothing and everything. It represents the absence of quantity, yet it's one of the most powerful concepts ever created by the human mind. It took us thousands of years to invent, but once we did, it unlocked the entire modern world. Zero is the foundation of our number system, the language of computers, the baseline for measurement, and a critical tool in every branch of mathematics and science. Without zero, you wouldn't be watching this video. I wouldn't be making this video. This entire conversation wouldn't be possible. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas are the ones that seem the simplest. Sometimes nothing really is everything. If this video blew your mind, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating deep dives into history, science, and mathematics. Drop a comment below. What other simple inventions do you think changed the world? What should I explore next? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.